Welcome back to No Buts About It. It has been a whole month. It is July 3rd. I think the last time we recorded was in May. We took June off. We're going to do a soft reboot here with one episode a week for July and then hit the preseason running in August. Couple updates on Chus's side is he now has an Ethernet cable. So hopefully he won't cut out anymore. Thank you, Mr. Lentz, for providing that.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed this is like the first time we've ever used the new plug with the new Ethernet cable connector. I don't know how well it's going to work. Hoping it works wonders, but obviously I'm sure there still will probably end up being technical difficulties on one side or another. No, nothing's ever perfect, but you know, we're looking up. We're looking up since May. So hopefully
We
fingers
strive
crossed.
for that. Yeah, so what happened was May, we kind of just disappeared. We had that episode with the rookie, and he was naming his football teams. That never made it up onto YouTube, to my knowledge. It is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But Chus and I both got really busy. I was looking for a full-time job. Chus was running an intramural basketball league. Neither of us had time to edit or do anything. So there are actually videos, like in a vault, that are unedited, and they may make their appearance one day.
They will.
But
They will. That is
now,
a promise, but they are in the vault. We aren't some stingy music company that's holding a bunch of music hostage like some of these artists. Like, for anyone out there that listens to certain, I don't know what kind of demographics here that listen to certain music here, but I know the great Juice WRLD has like over 400 songs vaulted, and they said that this upcoming album is going to be his last. And that means that there's going to be at least like 380 songs that will never see the light of day. But unlike Juice WRLD's record label, we will be releasing these videos out of the vault, whether it's way too late or in enough time. But I think we'll get them up in the next month or two. So,
well, I wanted to put this out there before he started playing. I made a video about Jordan Battle, and it's in the vault. I think Jordan Battle is going to be phenomenal for the Bengals, and I just want to get that on tape before the game happens.
When
his first game happens?
I was going to say, Mr. Joshua, do you happen to know when the first preseason Bengals game is? The reason I ask is just because that should be like a good deadline for whenever we'll probably have it up. Definitely want it up before that first preseason game, just to prove that both me and Josh know what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Let me consult Mr. Google. Mr. Google, I'll call him up. It is, according to Mr. Google, it is Friday, August 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time against the Green Bay Packers on NFL Network.
Sounds about right.
So, August 11th. Cool.
So, definitely will have that video up no later than August 11th because me and Josh are very high on the Jordan Battle. Once again, hate that he is in orange, but
so high on him. I think this is probably my favorite rookie that we have drafted since Burrow. Mainly just because you loved him so much. And he's a good player. He's a good safety too. But the fact that I knew we were going to get a new safety because both Bates and Bell left, but then the fact that it was Jordan Battle just made it so much better.
Yeah, it still made me sad on the inside. It still does, but it's one of those things where, I'm happy for him. And I know you tagged me in that one. Josh tagged me in an Instagram post of Jordan Battle on his actual Instagram account, which I have been following over the last couple of years. And I did see it, even though he had tagged me, just almost like a reminder type thing where it's like, oh yeah, I saw this. And then he reminded me. And then I was like, oh, well, I support him regardless. And, and I still stick by that because, I'm not a fan of the team, but I'm a fan of the player. That goes for so much. You think about like back in the day, like my dad was a big, McCarthy fan. Mike McCarthy grew up in the area of where my dad lived, and he actually kind of knew of the younger brother or older brother, or probably younger, of Mike McCarthy. Didn't know Mike real well, but like when the Steelers played the Packers in the Super Bowl, it was one of those things where it's like give and take. He was happy for the McCarthy family if they won, but also like the Steelers hometown team. So, but I mean, it's the same gist here in a way, only I really don't know Jordan Battle's like family, but I know somebody that knows him, played some sports with him, so I guess that
Ben
works.
Skoranek went to the rival high school, not the high school I went to, but our high school's rival, and I watched him play during the games when we played them. He got drafted in the NFL. He's a wide receiver for the Rams. So in the Super Bowl, it was someone from Fort Wayne was going to win. It was either going to be Ben Skoranek or Jesse Bates, who was also from my hometown. So then when Playball Inc., which is like an autographed memorabilia store, they went out of business in Fort Wayne. They had a 50% off sale on everything. I went in there, found the Ben Skoranek jersey. So now I have a Rams jersey in my closet, but it's only because it's Ben Skoranek.
But it's
no one else.
It's fair. It's fair.
But
hey man, I mean,
let's get in the show a little bit here. You did send me, and I don't know how much you know about this. I don't know a lot about it, but you sent me something about Netflix is making a show about Jerry Jones.
Yeah, so I didn't read too much on it. I mean, I sent that to you about 10-15 minutes before we were set to record, so I didn't really do too much research on it. It might even be completely false, but that is some news going around currently. I would believe that it is not fake, but it is something that is rumored to be in the works, which I don't know. I think Netflix and like all these just different streaming platforms are pretty much just making a show about anything at this point. So am I going to watch the Jerry Jones documentary? Personally, I probably won't unless it's just like one of the top trending things on Netflix at some point, because that's typically how it works. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But I did read about that. That was posted before we had recorded. I had sent it to Josh, and it was posted like 33 minutes ago. So at this point, while we're recording, it was posted about an hour and 20 or so minutes ago. So relatively newer news, not something from like a month ago. This is relatively newer. So I don't know how you would feel about a documentary. I don't even know if you watch Netflix, but I don't really. I couldn't care less. I would rather watch that I can't think of the show name, but the one with like where they take those like really bad teams and they'll record them for a season or whatever. It's like the Knockers or whatever.
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks. Yeah, I could not remember the name. I would rather watch that than a documentary on this guy. No offense.
Well, so Jerry, but I went to Dov Kleiman is the guy who tweeted it, and I went to his page. It says Netflix is set to secure a $50 million 10-episode docuseries on Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. More here. And then he put a link to brobible.com. The comments on the article are not optimistic. One guy commented, "How not to win?" ? A couple people commented, "Nobody's watching that." Couple people just commented the photo of him. We talked about it on the show a few months ago when he was at the protests against when they reintegrated the schools against segregation. He was just like, I was just curious. That's why I was there. Yeah, a couple people just commented that photo and were like, is it going to be about this? So definitely.
That's actually something I didn't even think of. Maybe it would revolve something around like with that being a scandal and just different things that have gone, up and down. But I mean, I feel like how could you write a whole documentary like on just that piece of the segregation thing? So
we got some burning money gifts. We've got Netflix explained how to trick a fan base into believing you're a quality owner for 3 decades.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to do too well if the comments are any indication.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just not interesting, in my opinion. It's not. It's just that they haven't really done anything over the last 20 years or so. I mean, it would be more interesting if you made like, it's something about anybody else in the NFL that's actually had some success. That's why a lot of times, like when you watch back on those Super Bowl videos where they'll recap the entire season, whether it's, I have a Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl 41, whichever one they won. It was like 40 and some, or yeah,
They
it was
won
something
two with Russell.
yeah. So the one, so I have one of them on DVD, and it's just fun to watch. I'm not a Seattle Seahawks fan that much. I mean, I just had the Seattle Seahawks shirt for Jordan Battle with the Madden thing and yada yada yada. But I mean, it's still kind of fun to watch. Just kind of the whole thing, and even Philadelphia in 2018 was pretty fun. The whole story behind that. It's just I feel like recapping big moments. I think, in my opinion, I don't like the Patriots, but I would rather see a documentary on the Patriots owner during the
80 for Brady.
Yeah, so, and that's
Did you watch 80 for Brady?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, of course I watched 80 for Brady.
Are you serious?
Yes. Why are you asking?
I'm shocked. I haven't met anyone who's watched it.
Yes, I have watched 80 for Brady. We can talk about this. We'll talk about this at some other point. But yes.
Quick review. Like, how many stars?
I thought it was solid. I mean, it's been a little bit, but I was pretty pleased with it. I thought it was like at least a 3 or a 4. I didn't think it was. I mean, I don't know if it was 5, but I thought it was pretty average, decent. Yeah.
You're like the Sally Fields movie, not Man in the Arena, where the 4 old ladies go to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, 80 for Brady. I still thought it was it's definitely a 3. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely a 3. I mean, it's definitely a 3 because I gave it a 4 and then I realized I was like, wait, yeah, it's that movie with and then I thought back, I'm like, the moments are tough, but yeah, I've seen 80 for Brady. It's a 3-star, if that. I think that's very generous personally. I don't even know what it got on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me look this up. I have seen it though. I have seen it. I promise you, I've seen it.
I promise we had a show planned. This is just
hey, you know what? I mean, I'm about on spot with it. It has a 58% on Tomato Meter and an 89% on audience score. So 3-star, I think, is a very, very accurate review. I thought I was going to be way off on the rating. So,
I am shocked that it has an 89% on audience review.
Yeah, that's what it said. I thought it was a 3-star. I didn't think it was that bad. It's just a very weird. I mean, it's fun, but like it's just a weird scenario here. But yeah, I mean, not the type of documentary that I was portraying, but yes. So I forgot about that movie. The fact you brought that up, and I kept confusing it with something else for a minute, which I've seen. Well, I was like, it's like I've seen it, and then I was like 3 or 4 stars, and then you're like with the old ladies, and I was like, wait, and then I was like, no, but then 80 for Brady with the old ladies and stuff was still definitely a 3-star. I don't know what I was
kept asking if you'd actually seen it.
Yes, I have seen it because I remember I didn't see it in theaters. I think I rented it or watched. I definitely rented it because I was like, oh yeah, 80 for Brady or whatever whenever it came out, and yeah, it wasn't that it was. I mean, I've seen a lot of movies in my life. I didn't think it was atrocious. I know some people that had seen it were like, oh, this movie's one of the worst movies ever. In my lifetime, I worked in a movie theater for, about a year and a half. And my goodness, I have seen some hot garbage movies in my lifetime. And that was not one of them. So
is 80 for Brady above Thor Love and Thunder?
Did you think Thor Love and Thunder was that bad of a movie?
If my friend had not paid for my ticket, I would have walked out. And I've only walked out of one other movie, and it was the Fantastic Four reboot.
Okay, well, the Fantastic Four reboot, 100% agree that 80 for Brady is probably better than the Fantastic Four reboot. Thor Love and Thunder could go either way because I didn't mind that movie, but a better comparison would be it's definitely better than the Eternals. If you've ever seen the Eternals.
I think Eternals is better than Thor Love and Thunder. They Care Bear stared my boy Gore the God Butcher to death.
Fair, but I don't know. I think it's a very average movie, and that is why it's very average. I mean, it's fun for families and stuff, but for young adults like us. I mean, it's just kind of like
Okay.
it wouldn't have been one of those movies where it's like a game changer if I hadn't seen it or I had seen it, more or less.
Okay. Well, that was Chus's toxic movie review segment that just started out of. Actually, you were pretty nice,
I gave
but
him a 3 stars. It's not,
yeah,
and I didn't, because
that's
personally I didn't think it was bad.
no.
So,
We
but I still just kept
that,
getting it confused with something else that I just can't figure out what I was
nice,
thinking about.
nice
But
little impromptu segment. Let's go into what I had written down. We got not a lot happened in June, which was good because we weren't recording.
Kenny
But
Pickett got married. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Pickett.
congratulations, Kenny Pickett. I saw yesterday that Brock Purdy got engaged. So I
Yeah,
mean, love is in the
congratulations,
air for
Brock
NFL
Purdy. Yeah,
quarterbacks.
I guess
Congrats, Brock
it's
Purdy.
always June. I feel like June is a big. Hey, a lot of hockey players got engaged, in the NHL too, earlier this month. So I just feel like it's just the month of love. It's not February anymore.
No. Well, DeAndre Hopkins, he got released, and he got released back in March. But we've kind of since then been like, where is this guy going to go? Because he's officially on the market now. And a few episodes ago, probably 2 months ago, you had said something about how you didn't think the Arizona Cardinals were going to be that bad. This was before Hopkins got released.
Yes.
And I said I thought they were going to be the worst team in the NFL this season. And now I really think that they're going to be the worst team in the NFL. I think there is potential that they have the first and second draft pick next season.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. Because there's really not a team in my head right at this very moment that I could say would be worse. I mean, the problem is the only thing with Arizona that they have is they have Kyler Murray, and although Kyler Murray isn't the greatest quarterback in the world, he isn't a rookie like some of these other teams are taking up. Like Carolina, for example, has Bryce Young, and Bryce Young may need a little bit of time to get get his feet wet, and their team is a little different than it was last year, so it might take a little bit for him to get used to what he's running and whatnot. So Carolina might be struggling a little bit. I mean, Houston's also a very brand new team. Tampa Bay also is looking to sign Carson Wentz. I don't know if you heard about that. I read something where they're interested in signing Carson Wentz to give Baker Mayfield competition down in Tampa, which I think is a very odd move. But it's one of those things where, I think some of these teams are going to struggle. I mean, any team can be trash. I personally still don't think Arizona is going to be the worst, but I think they will be one of the worst. So they will probably be fighting for one of the bottom spots. So I still think they're going to get within a top 5 pick. I just don't know if they're going to be like 2-15 or whatever,
So the thing with Arizona now is they got rid of Cliff Kingsbury. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You've got AJ Green's retiring, so he's not there anymore.
Nope.
D-Hop is gone.
Nope.
JJ Watt retired.
Mm-hmm.
You have Rondale Moore and Kyler Murray. And I think James Conner has one more season there.
Yeah, I think it was.
That's your trio that you're running with, and then they're moving Isaiah Simmons. I think they're moving him to linebacker, or they're gonna have him play 2 positions on defense.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me if they have him play 2 positions. Then at that point, they will be in one of the worst spots. But continue.
I'm trying to remember if Buda Baker still there?
I want to say no, but I thought he got moved, but he might, because I thought we talked about Buda Baker getting moved, but maybe not.
Buda Baker is still there, but he wants to be paid fairly as he plans to attend training camp, which there are some guys like Saquon who they're sitting out. They're not going to attend training camp. But Buda, he's still there. So you have Buda Baker, assuming you pay him. Yeah. Isaiah Simmons is playing 2 positions. This isn't a team that, like, where's your threat? Who's it?
Yeah, I mean, the team, the problem is, I mean, like, Houston, and some of these teams last year were, some of these teams were trash. Now,
Houston
Arizona was...
Well, Houston is Houston, but I was thinking Carolina has Andy Dalton at least.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that either team is going to be. I'm not saying Carolina and Houston are going to be bad this year, because there's a very good chance that they end up doing well or decent. But I just wasn't going to step too far ahead thinking that, a savior season is going to be coming. I mean, I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. I mean, Joe Burrow, he got hurt his rookie season. Right? It was his rookie season. He got hurt. Yeah. And
Week
then
9 against I believe they were the Washington football team at the time.
Yeah. So definitely probably the football team at that point in time. If it was, yeah. So, and then, Kenny Pickett didn't come in halfway through. They finished 9-8, don't make playoffs. Trevor Lawrence's team didn't have a really good, I don't remember what their record was in his first year. And I mean, like, and the list goes on and on. I mean, the thing is not every quarterback is going to just magically be one of the best ever. So, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, Bryce Young could go out there, guns a-blazing, and then, or CJ Stroud could come out guns a-blazing, and then Bryce Young needs a little bit of time to just develop, So, but anything can happen. Anything is possible. So, and I hope for the best for those teams, but Arizona needs to figure something out. I mean, even with a top draft pick, they're still missing a lot of key elements, and releasing DeAndre Hopkins is not helping their case currently.
Well, now that DeAndre Hopkins is out on the market, where do we think he's going to end up? Probable Hall of Famer. I've got a couple teams I think would be interesting fits for him. Of course, I always hope that he comes to the Bengals for $2 million a year. That's not going to happen, though. I'm realistic, but
but listen, the only thing is if he was, it would have to be perfect timing, and him being released this year is not perfect timing. And the reason is because you still have all three of your wide receivers on deck. So DeAndre Hopkins would be more than likely he would either replace Boyd or be a fourth string wide receiver in case, any of your three got hurt. So
he's going to be, we'd put Hopkins on special teams. That's how good we are.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's actually huge. Yeah. That's a big move for you guys then. Yeah. If this was next year, though, I could say yes. So, but I mean, personally, when it comes to thinking about DeAndre Hopkins going somewhere, I mean, I think it would be really interesting to see him go to a team with like a younger quarterback. Personally, I mean, imagine like him in like, going back to Houston. I think that'd be really funny. Personally,
Happen.
I know it won't, but I think it'd be really funny if he worked with Stroud, or like he would end up working with like even like a Bryce Young if they had enough time. Carolina would be kind of interesting. But I mean, I think he's going to try to go to win somewhere. So, because, he hasn't won, right? He hasn't gotten a Super Bowl. He hasn't even gotten like anywhere real close. So I think that I definitely think he ain't going to Cleveland. Sorry, Browns fans. I don't think he's going to Cleveland. I don't think he wants to play with Deshaun Watson again. So, but I mean, it's very up for debate. I mean, there's definitely some teams. I mean, like other than the Bengals, I feel like any real team could use just some sort of solidified on wide receiver, more or less. And maybe Minnesota might not need them right now, but because they just got Addison and they still have Justin Jefferson, so I don't know if they would really need one. But I mean, imagine that lineup. You have Hopkins, Addison, and Justin Jefferson. That would be a heck of a lineup.
So the two scariest teams that I have on my list are the Bills and the Chiefs.
The Chiefs would make sense. The Bills, I'm not as sold on, just because I think that he could go there, but I feel like he would be more likely to go to the Chiefs because the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes their team has pretty much proved that whoever you give them, they're going to do well. Mm-hmm. I mean, in fairness, in my personal opinion, that team that they had against the Eagles realistically shouldn't have won, but somehow did win because they're just the Kansas City Chiefs are like the Patriots almost right now of our era. Like they are really being very consistent along those lines. So I think Patrick Mahomes is going to win 7 rings. I don't know. I don't think so, but I mean, I guess it's possible. But I mean, your top wide receivers are like Juju Smith-Schuster and all these
Well,
players and
no,
stuff. But
Juju isn't even there anymore.
I know, but like back then last year, yeah, I
Oh,
know
okay,
Juju's in New
okay.
England now, but like, but you know, it's one of those things where it's like if they can run with that, you know, you put DeAndre Hopkins out there, you know, in
That's
replacement
what.
as their wide receiver one, that would be terrifying. You have Patrick Mahomes and Hopkins, like that's crazy. Because I remember they were working for a while with I remember back in the days with Alex Smith, with Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt, and they just never could get that job done. Next thing you know, Patrick Mahomes shows up and they win with a bunch of rookies and, you know,
Well, you had
supposed
Tyreek
washed up.
for a few seasons. You had
Hmm?
Tyreek for a few seasons. Travis Kelsey's a Hall of Famer, but to that point, he also made Sky Moore look like a phenomenal wide receiver his rookie year. Because
Well,
they
that
have
was like
Pacheco.
that was like Tom Brady making freaking Hogan look like the best wide receiver that ever come
Mm-hmm.
out ever. I
Yeah,
was like,
it
this guy is not that good, but Tom Brady made him good. And then next thing you know, he's in another team and he's doing, you know, it's just whatever.
and
So, but same point.
I so the I think the Bills could be scary too. Get him up there with Diggs and Davis.
That would be.
That
I mean,
that would
it could help Gabe Davis too, because Gabe Davis tends to be very inconsistent. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but Gabe Davis tends to have some on and off games. And I think,
yeah.
you know, I think if you put Gabe Davis at wide receiver 3, have Hopkins and Stephon Diggs take a lot of the runs, Gabe Davis might be getting hit a lot more. So that would actually be a very good move. Not for us. Either of those teams would not be a good move for us, because that would just be in stacked AFC, because then you have the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills, and then every other freaking team ever. So
Yeah, and then staying in the AFC East, I've got the Patriots. He's been tied to the Patriots a lot. Seems like him and Bill Belichick have a good relationship. My
mhm.
only concern there would be actually, I have two concerns there. One is that D Hop is established and he's older, and Belichick kind of has that old coaching style where you all listen to me type thing, and that's kind of where him and Brady had a riff, it seemed. The other concern is I believe that Bill O'Brien, the former head coach for the Houston Texans when DeAndre Hopkins was there, is going to be one of the coordinators. I think he's the offensive coordinator. So I'm not sure DeAndre Hopkins would want to be underneath him again, be coached by him again, because Bill O'Brien was one of the reasons both DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt left the team, and Deshaun
And
Watson was trying to.
yeah, well, and Deshaun Watson did end up leaving, but
Well, not on the way he wanted.
yeah, but with Hopkins, I mean, I could definitely see him in New England, but I definitely think he's going to ring chase personally. I think
I think he
he's.
should.
I mean, absolutely. I don't see why he should. Like, I think I always used to trash on NBA players for ring chasing, but once you've established yourself as one of a like one of a good like one in like I was gonna say one of the greatest players of all time, but like I don't want to put him up there with some of the greatest players of all time, because you know, I mean, there's definitely been some stud wide receivers out there. But when you solidify yourself as a really great player on any team, and he has really, I think you should go ring chase. I hate to be that guy, but like, you know what? Screw it, do it. And then if you lose, then it's like, haha, haha, sucks to be you. But also, if you do win, it's like, I'm happy for you. But I mean, it's a give or take, because you know, I mean, I was, as much as I don't like Odell Beckham Jr. If they would have lost that Super Bowl, I probably would have laughed. But had they, with them winning that Super Bowl, I'm sorry, Josh, but with them winning that Super Bowl, I was happy for Odell, and he was crying. It was really funny. I have that picture still. I have that screenshot still on my phone of him, like with his mouth wide open and his eyes shut, where he's just like, and he's like, "Oh, we're happy for you too, Odell." And it's just him crying. So I mean, they get really happy when they win. So
Well, I think they know that at this point in the league's like era that we're in, there's so much emphasis put on Super Bowls
mhm.
for the Hall of Fame. So like AJ Green was top near the end of his career. He wasn't, but when he was with the Bengals, he was considered a top receiver in the league. But he probably won't get into the Hall of Fame for a long time, simply because he doesn't have a Super Bowl. Same with, I mean, Matthew Stafford, like people were like, "Oh, he's not a Hall of Famer," and then as soon as he won a Super Bowl ring, it was okay. Now he's a Hall of Famer. That's
Mm-hmm.
like that's so. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it enough, looked at enough like examples to see if that's even a valid thing.
I
So
I don't know because when it comes to wide receivers, I mean, a candidate that I mean, from a Steelers perspective, Hines Ward was MVP for 2006 Super Bowl against the Seahawks. I believe it was '06. It was around that year, and then he played for multiple years with the Steelers, and he did really well before his retirement. And then he's been eligible for like the last it's been a very long time, and
mhm.
each year he gets nominated and just never makes it past like the first or second voting of ballots. And he is a two-time Super Bowl champion. So in some aspects, yes, but some aspects even with that it still takes you a while. I mean, there's some cut and dry ones like you have your Tom Brady's, your Ben Roethlisberger's, even defensive players like even with JJ Watt never getting a ring, I still think that he's probably going to be first ballot. Like, I mean, there's some players that obviously, yes, but I feel like with wide receivers, it's an interesting look because with wide receivers, there's so many on a team compared to like defense. Like when you're on defense, you have like one set position, and oh, if you're this position, there's only like one or two other with you, and then there's the backups. Whereas wide receivers, it's like you and two other players on the field at the exact same time competing, and then if you're not doing good, then wide receiver 4, 5, and 6 are going to go in. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you're competing against a lot. So I can kind of see why wide receivers have to wait unless you're like a Randy Moss type thing, where you're just a stud. So, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's annoying. Ring chasing is annoying, but at the same time, I get it. And I think D Hop is in a position where I'd understand if he was ring chasing.
Mm.
Another team I had that's not him ring chasing, but I think that it could be fun. Kind of a surprise, a little shake up the league a little bit. The Lions.
That'd be kind of funny. He goes from red to blue.
Yeah, because I mean, could you with Amon-Ra St. Brown, you've got Jared Goff is he was kind of under the radar last year. He was better than people made him out to be. Jared Goff had the best touchdown to interception ratio in the league last year.
I mean, they made that push at the end.
Dan Campbell's fun. He's great. He's a fun coach, a guy I really like. Players
honestly,
coach.
They could really, if DeAndre Hopkins went to Detroit, I would actually think it would be kind of fun too, just because
it would be
because
I would watch those games. That would make the Lions must-watch football, I think,
because you never know at that point. Because next thing you know, they start getting hot, or they even go 10-7. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Lions!" And then watch like the Lions push through, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's the freaking Lions!" Because they've never even I don't even know how close they've ever gotten to a Super Bowl. So, because I know they've never won one, but I just don't know if they've even been in one or
I don't think they've ever been in one.
Yeah, just imagine the fans of Detroit being so excited if their team with D-Hop and Goff and all of these players just push through to like the NFC Championship this coming season. I think that'd be a lot of fun if D-Hop went there. Personally, that's a good one.
If there's a year for the Lions to make a run for the division, it is this year. Because
perfect year, 100%.
Green Bay Packers kind of restarting.
Yep.
Jordan Love at quarterback. We don't know how he's going to do. They've ran the North for a while. The Bears are there.
I think the Bears are. Well, they're upset with Chase Claypool. Did you hear Chase Claypool's doing some modeling in France or something?
No.
Yeah, he was doing some like I don't even know. I was shown some pictures. It was like he was modeling with some his mail purses and stuff, and some just different things. And I don't know. I mean, the outfits were definitely odd, but like they said that the Bears organization was a little like perturbed with him being over there, doing these modeling things, and overall they're just a little upset with him. I mean, he like then on Twitter you'll see him do something for the kids and be like, "Thank you to the Chicago Bears organization for making this happen," but then but behind closed doors, these rumors keep swirling that they're not happy with Claypool. I mean, there was a rumor during the draft that the Bears wanted their pick back, like their 32nd pick. They were going to try to trade for it, the one that we got Joey Porter Jr. with, but they wanted it back because they were like, this isn't worth. The Chase Claypool wasn't worth it for us, so they were gonna. I mean, we weren't gonna take Chase Claypool back, but like they were a little upset. They got conned by the con master.
Yeah, I mean, but really, like the Bears aren't a threat. The Packers are up in the air. The Vikings are really all you have to get past, seemingly, if you are the Detroit Lions. They've got Justin Jefferson, you got Kirk Cousins, TJ Houshmandzadeh, who used to play for the Lions, is there. So they have a team in Minnesota, but I think they are beatable. I think the Lions could beat them.
Well, they are beatable. Cue up the New York Giants game.
The New York Vikings.
Yeah, didn't they lose to the Giants? And then because in the playoffs. So because I'm pretty sure it was the Giants beat the Vikings, and then the Giants went on to play the Eagles, and then the Eagles beat the Giants, like a crushed the Giants.
Yeah, Giants beat the Vikings. Yep.
Yeah, because it was like a 6-3 or something like that, or it was. I don't think it was a 2-7, but I think it was 3-6, and I just thought it was the funniest thing in my opinion. So I think the Vikings, unless they make some like super big changes, I don't really see them as a huge threat. I mean, I think I think they would be one of those teams where they could win the division, but if Detroit puts up a good season showing and they finish like 10-7 or something, and they just get hot at the right time, like right towards the end of the season, they would run through. They could run through at least to the NFC Championship. I think so, because they would be at that point. They would be probably either the 5th or 6th seed, and then they would probably play. Depending on the records, they could end up meeting up with Minnesota in the first round in the wild card.
The NFC sucks.
Yeah, I mean, so like, you get hot at the right time, and it's like, because when Detroit was starting to get hot, right around the time Jacksonville was getting hot, I'm like, oh great, imagine a Jacksonville-Detroit Super Bowl. And then, granted, Detroit didn't make it, and Jacksonville lost in the second round, but I keep saying rounds. It's not rounds. It's divisional.
Well, they're rounds. They're wild card rounds, divisional rounds.
Yeah, but first round, second round, third round is a term typically used in non-NFL sports, because in like hockey, it's first round of playoffs, second round of playoffs, Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals, and Stanley Cup. Whereas this one's actually a wild card, divisional, and then NFC, AFC Championship, Super Bowl. So I apologize. That is how these specifics go for any of our football noobs out there. So
yeah, I need my Dan Campbell bobblehead. I still don't have it, but I would be okay with the Lions losing to the Bengals in the Super Bowl. But we mentioned the Minnesota Vikings a bit. Moving on to another free agent who's been a big deal, big talk surrounding him. Mr. Dalvin Cook was also released, 2017 rookie, and we've been seeing running backs get cut quicker than most other positions, especially, which is weird because, well, it's understandable, but it's weird because the game of football started as a run-first game. That was where...
It was very run-heavy.
And up until maybe the last 20, maybe 30 years, it's become more pass heavy. But back in the day, it was very run heavy. You had your guys like Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, Walter Payton. And now we're seeing guys get cut after their rookie contracts even. And Dalvin Cook, who both D-Hop, Dalvin Cook, and Ezekiel Elliott, these are all guys that are free agents right now. And if 3 years ago I told you they were all going to be free agents, you probably would have laughed. But Dalvin Cook is a free agent. He's been tied to the Dolphins primarily. I think that could be an interesting signing. I don't know if he would necessarily benefit them. Bengals sent Samaje Perine to Denver, where he'll be with Javonte Williams. Bengals did draft Chase Brown in the 5th round, I think, of this draft. So maybe they don't go after him, but I could see the Bengals maybe going after a veteran running back as well to help Joe Mixon. Also, with Joe Mixon being in the news, it's kind of up in the air with what's going on with him. And he's kind of struggled the last 2 years with injury, so having another veteran guy on the field would be beneficial. Those are my two teams for Dalvin Cook, though.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, there's really, I mean, I definitely, I mean, I definitely have a little bit of growing love towards the Miami Dolphins. It's just how it be. But I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Dalvin Cook down there. It would be pretty cool. Some point in the fall, I will be flying down to Miami to see a Dolphins game, so that'll be pretty exciting. So it'd be kind of cool to see him on the field during one of those games. I mean, Zeke would probably be just as fine, but I think Dalvin Cook's always been more of like a better, in my opinion. I felt like Dalvin Cook was always a safer option, even in like a fantasy football type sake over Zeke, because I felt like Zeke got hurt a lot more. Now, granted, they used to use the heck out of him. Now, Dalvin Cook, they did use the heck out of him too, but like he usually kept his own. And then Mattison, right? It's like Mattison.
Alexander Madison.
Yeah. He always was always a good solid backup too. And then when, Cook would get hurt, he would just kind of slide in there and stuff. But I think, I mean, with running backs, I think it could go like either way. I mean, obviously there's some teams that you just don't really need running backs. I mean, like you're not going to go stick him over in San Francisco, with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I feel like that neither of those running backs would make sense over there. You wouldn't stick them really in, the Steelers don't really need a running back. And I mean, like I just go on and on. I mean, some of these teams just either have young running backs coming up, like Kansas City has, that Pacheco that's going to be pretty good. I don't really think they would want Zeke or Cook. I mean, they could work there, but like, what's the point? And then obviously Dallas got rid of Zeke and they're moving up Pollard. But I mean, it's just like a wait and see game type thing. I mean, definitely would be interesting. I mean, we'll definitely have to see. But I kind of agree with your two team picks, but we'll wait and see. I mean, it could end up being one of those things where these players don't get signed until midseason, because I mean that's kind of what happened with Odell. I mean, we were like, where's Odell going? And I raced my mind again back that year. I don't know if you remember what happened, but wasn't he like linked to some other team before the Rams, and everyone thought he was going to go there, and then he ended up going to the Rams? Because I swear it was like, I don't remember, or maybe it was last year. I don't remember. There was
last year he was getting linked everywhere because he was coming off his Super Bowl ACL injury.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. You know
so
what? It might have been last year.
He wasn't really able to play till last year or mid-season last year, and so people were like,
yeah. And then he had that scandal on the plane. Yeah, I think that was last year. I was kind of, I don't know why. I think I interlinked that with 2021.
As the year went on, people were like, "Oh, this team's really good. He should go here because they might go to the Super Bowl." And this team, so
yeah. So, but he ended up. I think there was one point he was linked to Tampa and some other teams, and then like it was like early November came around, and they were like Odell Beckham Jr. scandal, and it was like right after he just got off, rumors with this team and this team, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then he never got signed, I don't believe. So
now he's with the Ravens,
which is, yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah, he is with the Ravens, as if that's going to change anything.
Lamar wanted both D-Hop and Odell, so maybe
that would work, but
no, don't do that to me. I like D-Hop too much.
Well, in my personal opinion, I don't think it would, but also I think Lamar is going to try to build the super team, and they're still going to go 10-7. So, because they're not. I'm not a big. I have better love for the Cincinnati Bengals than I do the Baltimore Ravens, because man, that team is just a bunch of fools with Lamar Jackson. Bring back Joe Flacco, Baltimore. Bring back Joe Flacco. At least they got a ring with him.
Ray Lewis got that ring, but
okay, fine. Joe Flacco was the field general for that game. Bring him back to Baltimore.
What What do you think the running backs do though? Like at this point, because it's we've got a lot of big name running backs who either aren't signed to teams or they're holding out. Saquon is holding out. He might not play this year because he might not get paid. He refused to sign the franchise tag. Kareem Hunt hasn't been signed, I believe. Ezekiel Elliott, he also has been cut and he's unsigned. There's guys out there, and I mean, you're not going to get rid of the running back position, I wouldn't think. You're not going to go to a pass only game, so you need to fill the team, but there's some decent guys out there. Like Zeke isn't necessarily a running back one, but he's a phenomenal RB2 if you need that.
Well, and not only that, but when you think about like some of these other players, like I mean, a lot of young guys are coming up right now. I mean, I think Saquon Barkley is a fool right now for not signing that, because with other teams out there right now not being able to be signed to teams, you know, hell, if I'm the Giants, you know, release Saquon, then let him go. Pick up Dalvin Cook, then bring Dalvin Cook or something. Let Saquon walk. I wouldn't play with that because that's stupid at that point. So, and then at that point, Saquon would be in the boat that either Zeke or Dalvin or Hunt would be in at that point. So I think that especially with Saquon, I think you should really consider, you know, right now what he's doing, because there are like some people, you know, maybe a little older than him. I don't know where he is in age range compared to some of these other top running backs that are out there right now.
All like the same age.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. So like, and at that point, then why wouldn't you just be like, oh yeah, screw you, Saquon Barkley. I'm gonna bring in Dalvin Cook or Ezekiel Elliott, and then next thing you know, there's your replacement for Saquon, and now Saquon's trying to find a team. Oh, sorry, Saquon. Well, maybe you should have signed the franchise tag, because, you know, some of these other teams actually, you know, just dropped their running backs outright and, you know, didn't even give them the option for that. So
I don't know how their ages work out in terms of years, because that comes into when they entered the draft. But Zeke is a 2016 rookie.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook are both 2017.
Yes.
And Saquon is 2018. So Saquon's the youngest of all of them.
Yeah,
as far as draft goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up Saquon. Saquon is 26. So Dalvin Cook is probably 28. He's 27.
Yeah, 27. I mean,
okay, Ezekiel Elliott is 27 as well. So
yeah, they're all about the same age.
And then we'll look up Kareem Hunt as well, since he's been
to give like an idea.
He is also 27. So
to guys that are still on teams, Christian McCaffrey is 2017. Derrick Henry's 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these aren't old guys. It's not like you're trying to throw out Jamal Charles right now or Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, you're you're bringing back like some. I was trying to think of a guy that I can't think of. Oh, LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, I mean that's not who we're trying to field here. We're trying to field some guys who are under 30 and have had phenomenal
careers. Yeah,
phenomenal careers. Kareem Hunt and Zeke have had issues in the past.
Hunt, yeah, but I mean, Kareem Hunt still had some. He had some very solid years. I mean,
Cleveland.
Kansas
Even
City,
behind Nick Chubb, though, he was noticeable.
I mean, wait, where did Kareem Hunt's been at 3 different teams, right?
Because he played just the Chiefs and the Browns.
Then who the heck?
I could be wrong. Maybe he snuck another team in there.
I thought there was another team, but I might be getting him confused with somebody else.
No, he was drafted by the Chiefs in 2017. Then he went to the Browns in 2019 and has played for them every year since.
Who am I? Oh, never mind. I was thinking of somebody else. I know exactly who I was thinking of, but I got Kareem Hunt confused with the guy that he played in Baltimore, and then I don't know if he got moved to the Saints right around when Alvin Kamara was coming up, but it was Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram, okay.
I don't know why I was getting Ingram and them confused, but I think just because they both got suspended at points and then started halfway through the season, because that was the big thing that one fantasy year I had was Mark Ingram. Was I had him on my bench suspended for 6 games, then he went in and started lighting up because he would be the power back pushing for touchdowns, and then Alvin Kamara would get all the receiving and rushing yards. So like they were just dynamite in 2016 or 17 or whatever year that was. So, but yeah, so my bad. But yeah, Kareem Hunt, I mean, very, very, like I said, very solid running backs. I mean, they could really go realistically anywhere. I mean, honestly, in my personal opinion, I can't see them getting signed before the season starts. I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to be very similar to like an Odell situation where it's going to be probably like week 5, week 6. I hope that I never wish for this to happen, and I'm not going to. It's just a prediction. So, but I think there's going to be a running back or maybe 1 or 2 running backs that are starting that are going to get hurt, maybe long-term, maybe out for the entire season. And I think that's when teams are going to be like, hey, yo, Dalvin Cook, Zeke, Kareem Hunt, you want to come play? Like you'll be moved up to running back 1, and we really need a running back right now. And I think that's when they would jump in. And like I don't think it's because of their skill level. I just think that there's a lot of teams out there right now that are running with the select rookie running backs that they have. So, and like I said, like if Isaiah Pacheco got hurt or something and was out for the season, they didn't want to run with whoever their running back 2 is. I don't really know who it is. I don't really follow the Chiefs at all.
Either.
But so like if that's the point where they're like, oh shoot, we probably could use a running back, they may be like, yo, Zeke, you want to come play for us? We'll sign you for the year, but really you only got to play 8 games in playoffs. He goes in, does what he does, and then sees if they make it that far. And heck, they could be like 5-2 at one point, and everyone's like, oh shoot, the Chiefs, and then Zeke comes on, and then maybe they win a ring or maybe they don't. But either way, like I think that's what would happen. And then maybe next year, after they've played like a year or a season or whatever, then maybe half a season or whatever, maybe at that point teams would be like, oh well, maybe we need a running back this year because we let go of this running back. And then it's just the same cycle over and over again because the times are changing. Times are changing, Josh. It's not a run. It's not a run first league anymore.
I know but like I've been reading Jerry Rice's 100 Years of the NFL book, and all of the guys, which granted when football first started, everything was running and guys played multiple positions, but all of the like big superstars were running backs. You had Red Grange, the Galloping Ghost, and when they were trying to get audiences or spectators and fans to come to games, was it George Halas? I can't remember. I think it was George Halas had the Galloping Ghost like tour type thing where it was come see the Galloping Ghost, come see Red Grange play.
Yeah.
You had guys like Jim Thorpe, who was an Olympian. I mean, the NFL is built on running backs. So I don't personally, as a person who likes history and the sport itself, I don't want to see that go away. I understand eras change. I understand stuff like that, but I want football to have that running variable in it because part of it is you can guess line based on the way players line up, but you don't know. There's, I'd say, a roughly 60-40 chance whether they pass or run, depending on where they are on the field, stuff like that. If you eliminate the running game and you go pass only, it's going to become the passing game is going to hurt too. So like people are like, oh, the passing game is more fun to watch. Well, the passing game isn't going to be fun to watch if you get rid of the run game because then everyone's just going to play in coverage.
Well, yeah, and then not only that, but then you have days where you have your quarterback throwing 33 of 50 or whatever, and maybe he had a good game, but maybe it's like 33 for 50, 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and 4 or 5 interceptions. It's like, oh, what a fun day, and then eventually, like how like if these teams are throwing like constantly, these quarterbacks, they're gonna hurt themselves. They're gonna either get sacked multiple times, because blitz coverage and all of that stuff, or they're gonna hurt their shoulders or they're throwing. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, he in his 2019 or 2018 season, he hurt himself week 2, and he tore all these ligaments from throwing so much that that he got benched for the rest of the season. Well, not benched, but he was out for the rest of the season. They put in Rudolph, and then that whole the whole Mason Rudolph era happened with the helmets and the fun era with Duck Hodges and still finishing 8-8 somehow, but or nine. I don't even remember what our record was that year.
Next time when you're watching an NFL game and you think to yourself, man, the run game is boring, know that the run game is the foundation of the NFL and we need it. I like running. I like the running game. I like my running backs out there. Some of my favorite players I've watched have been running backs. We need more beast quakes. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. That's my final thoughts. I'm going to go into my ending here, if that's okay. My spiel, as Chus calls it. Thank you for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube at No Buts Show. Our social media pages are NoButs_show on Instagram and No Buts Show on TikTok, which will allegedly have content on it at some point. My Twitter is Josh_Butts_2001. And if you would like to reach us, you can email us at boldmoosepodcast2, that's the number 2, @gmail.com. Finally, our spread shop will be in the description, so check out the merch. Once again, if you enjoyed today's show, like, comment, and subscribe. Until next week, go do something nice for someone.